9. Ashes. In September 2022, an intoxicated man allegedly dumped his ex-girlfriend's deceased child's ashes into a trash can. In Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, 33-year-old Joseph Oberlees dated a woman for a few months during the summer. Apparently, the relationship ended badly, and eventually the girl kicked him out of her house on August 23rd. Oberlees was definitely one to hold a grudge, and he had a past history of criminal activity. On September 3rd, the man decided to take revenge on his ex while he was blackout drunk. Security footage from that night captured Oberlees sneaking into the woman's home using her security code. Luckily, the girl and her children were not there the night of the break-in. When his ex finally returned home, she was met with a terrible surprise. She claimed that Oberlees had thrown some ashes that belonged to her deceased child into the trash. The man also took out his anger by using a hammer on her flat-screen TV. She said that there was no way that Oberlees could have known that she wouldn't be there that night. She believes that maybe he meant to harm her or her family in some way, and is glad that nobody was hurt. This very well may have been the case, as Oberlees was previously arrested for a similar incident with another one of his ex-girlfriends. In the other instance, he had broken into the woman's house and stabbed her. At first, when the man was questioned about the more recent break-in, he claimed he had been in West Ashley at the time. However, when he was presented with a video of his crime, Oberlees changed his story and said that he had been blacked out drunk and didn't remember anything from that night. In the end, the police saw right through the man's lies. He was arrested and charged with first-degree burglary and destruction of human remains. Somehow, Oberlees was able to pay his $60,000 bond and was released the next day. After he left the Al Cannon Detention Center, all police could really do was increase patrols and send a warning to the school of the ex-girlfriend's other children, so that they could be on the lookout for the vengeful man. 8. My Search Party. After having a few drinks in Bursa, Turkey, a man was reported missing and a search party quickly ensued. Construction worker Beyhan Mutlu, 50 years old, was listed as a missing person in September 2021, but it was later revealed that he was not lost at all. In fact, while intoxicated, he joined in on the search efforts without realizing that he was the man they were looking for, but had left around 2 a.m. the next morning to pass out at one of the villas they had been renting. Somehow his friends could not find him, and because Mutlu had recently changed his number, they could not reach him. When Mutlu woke up around 5 a.m., he noticed the search party and joined in, but was still wasted from the night before. He only realized that they were searching for him after they called out his name, to which he responded by saying, "Oh, that's me." The whole mess ended up being a misunderstanding, all because his drunk friends didn't look for him well enough. 7. Burn, baby, burn. A New Zealand-born woman was sentenced to a 12-month intensive correction order in July 2021 after setting her boyfriend's clothes on fire in a drunk and drug-fueled rage. Executive assistant Jessica Mary O'Brien was dating a man 17 years her senior. One night, they decided to polish off 3 entire bottles of wine. While the couple was at the Kangaroo Point unit complex, an argument broke out between them after O'Brien had called up one of her male friends. In a fit of rage, the woman reportedly threw the man's wallet off the high-rise balcony, to which he retaliated by chucking her phone over as well. Both of them were obviously heated, so the man left the building so that he could try and calm down. O'Brien eventually did the same, but before leaving, she decided to set some of her boyfriend's clothes on fire. She clearly was not in the best state of mind and had supposedly been taking Prozac tablets while she had been drinking, which is not a great combination. As she was attempting to leave, O'Brien asked two strangers to call the fire brigade. And when those witnesses were interviewed, they claimed that she seemed off her face and was not wearing shoes. Desperate to escape, the woman was also accused of offering one of these people $10,000 if they helped her flee the scene. Nobody, however, would agree to assist O'Brien in her crime, so she called a taxi instead and headed to her ex-husband's house. When she pulled up to the home in Ash Grove, she discovered that her ex was not there. But that didn't stop her. She instead made the decision to break in and then slept in the man's bed without permission. After a few hours, the police found her and took her to jail. She was later released after paying bail, but not before she vomited all of last night's regrets onto the floor of her cell. It was found out during her trial that O'Brien had always struggled with mental health issues. However, it seems like she's turned her life around and says that she's confident that her days of alcohol abuse are behind her. She went on to find a new partner and is now engaged to be married. After the whole ordeal, she was only sentenced to complete a 12-month intensive correction order by her judge, Paul Smith. 6. Officer Swervin'. A police officer swears to protect and serve the people in his town. However, the only thing this cop should be serving is a jail sentence. Imagine an officer of the law, someone who pulls people over for drunk driving, being caught for doing exactly that in his police cruiser while he was on duty. This was a real event that happened in July of 2022 in Florida. 25-year-old Oscar Mayorga from the Apopka Police Department was pulled over by his coworkers on July 4th, when local residents noticed the cop running stop signs and swerving all over the road. When he finally stopped, he had reportedly tested 5 times over the legal limit for alcohol in his system. He was so drunk, in fact, that he had to be carried away on a stretcher for medical treatment. When fellow officers first pulled Mayorga over, they smelled booze right away when he rolled down his window. His speech was slurred, his eyes were glazed over, and he was so out of it that he forgot to hide the open beer can he had sitting in the cup holder of his car, which officers noticed immediately. As a result of the incident, Mayorga received a DUI and was taken to jail on a $1,000 bond after he had apparently refused to be transferred to a hospital. Even though he was caught red-handed for drunk driving, he was only placed on administrative leave while authorities investigate the case further. This seems like a mere slap on the wrist for a crime of this magnitude, especially for someone who's supposed to enforce the laws that he so clearly violated. 5. Teen mom. A young mom from Brighton, Sussex decided to celebrate her birthday for 6 days straight while leaving her 20-month-old daughter to fend for herself in 2019. 19-year-old Verfi Cootie pleaded guilty to manslaughter at Lewes Crown Court after evidence was revealed that she had abandoned her infant at home to starve to death. CCTV footage showed Cootie leaving her home on December 5th, which was her birthday, and she didn't return until December 11th. When she did finally arrive home 6 days later, she called 999 to report that her baby would not wake up. Her daughter, Azaya, was rushed to Royal Alexandra Children's Hospital. However, she was pronounced dead on arrival. Forensic tests and a post-mortem examination was done on the child, and they found that the cause of death was most certainly neglect. Azaya had been dehydrated, starved, and had contracted influenza at some point that went left untreated. Cootie had apparently been out partying for her birthday in Coventry, London, and Solihull before she returned to Brighton to attend to her infant daughter. For her terrible crime, she was sentenced to 9 years in prison. 4. Lawnmower mayhem. An 87-year-old man with an alcohol problem reportedly rode an electric-powered lawnmower down a highway in Haines City, Florida in 2019. After crashing the grass trimmer into a parked police car, Gary Anderson was confronted by law enforcement, who claimed his attitude ranged from laughing to aggressive. The man later admitted to being intoxicated, although officers had already come to that conclusion due to the strong smell of alcohol surrounding him. Anderson also apparently fell to the ground many times during this encounter and had to be taken to a nearby medical center for treatment. He was found to have a blood alcohol level that tested 3 times the legal limit, and cocaine was also discovered in Anderson's system. However, the man claimed that he was poisoned by police with the narcotic, which was definitely not the case. According to Haines City Police Department, he told them, "F it, I'm drunk, take me to jail." As requested by Anderson himself, he was taken to Polk County Jail and was held on $3,000 bail. But it's unclear exactly what happened after that. 3. Live stream. A woman was brutally stabbed to death by a man that was high out of his mind, and the whole thing was live streamed on social media. 34-year-old Janice David was forcibly locked in a car with 35-year-old Earl Lee Johnson Jr. in April 2022, before she was murdered by the man. Authorities responded to alerts they received from someone who claimed that a 15-minute video had been posted to Instagram showing Johnson attacking Davis in the vehicle. Shortly after, Louisiana State Police were also made aware of the situation by the social media company themselves. Johnson was accused of choking, beating, and stabbing Davis to death while in the parked car. He then allegedly attempted to set the vehicle on fire before he escaped the crime scene in another car he had stolen from a residence nearby. He was later apprehended by police, and when questioned regarding the incident, he claimed that he was under the influence of methamphetamine and heroin at the time of the attack. Officials believe that David and Johnson had frequently abused drugs together in the days before the attack. However, it was unclear exactly what the relationship between them was. For the murder of Janice David, Earl Lee Johnson Jr. was arrested and charged with 1 count of first-degree murder, and is currently being held in jail without bond while he waits for his trial. 2. 36-hour bender. Charlie Sheen is known for his role in the hit show 2.5 Men, but he also used to have a real substance abuse problem. In January 2011, Sheen had been partying with 22-year-old adult film star Casey Jordan when things began to get out of control. While at the actor's $8 million home in Beverly Hills, Jordan claims a drug dealer stopped by with a bag full of cocaine, reportedly 20 grand worth of coke. Sheen was said to have been smoking the drug from a pipe and watched pornography with Jordan and her friends for at least 2 hours straight. The adult film star said she simply couldn't keep up with the actor and had to leave, because if she didn't, she thought she'd end up in the hospital. Ironically, after a 36-hour drug-fueled bender, one of the girls in Sheen's mansion called a neighbor and friend of the actor, Dr. Paul Nassif, who in turn called 911. When paramedics arrived at the home, Sheen was taken to the emergency room with severe abdominal pains. It was believed that the star might have suffered a hernia as a result of his crazy partying, but he made a full recovery. Sheen struggled with his addiction for many years, but seems to be doing much better nowadays and continues to work on his sobriety. 1. Crack bender. While on a crack bender, a sailor in the U.S. Navy reportedly used a dumbbell as a weapon and killed a man in Virginia Beach in March 2022. 45-year-old Herbert Bryant was found dead by authorities on Friday, March 11th, after being called to a residence located in the 1200 block of Edenham Court. The man had been brutally murdered, and the weapon that had been used was identified as a dumbbell. From evidence found at the scene, police were able to come up with two suspects for the crime: 41-year-old Jason Jablonski and 35-year-old Heather Toddy. According to court documents, Bryant had apparently been with both Jablonski and Toddy in this residence when a fight broke out between the two men. Things became violent, and at some point, Jablonski took out his rage by striking Bryant in the face with a dumbbell. When he noticed the man was still alive, he then pushed it into Bryant's neck until he was no longer moving. Toddy had apparently witnessed the physical altercation and murder, but instead of calling the police, she helped the killer drag the body outside. Jablonski then fled to a nearby hotel, while Toddy tried to clean up the evidence. She gathered up Bryant's belongings and threw them all into a dumpster, where they were later found by the authorities. Both of them were later taken into custody without bond, while their hearing was scheduled for the following Thursday. Jablonski was charged with second-degree murder, while Toddy was charged with accessory to murder. Have you ever done something you regret while being blackout drunk? Let us know in the comments below, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.